The Battle of Arras was an attempt by the French army to outflank the German army, which was attempting to do the same thing during the race to the sea, a misleading term for reciprocal attempts by both sides to exploit conditions created during the First Battle of the Aisne. At the First Battle of Picardy, each side had attacked expecting to advance round an open northern flank and found instead that troops had arrived from further south and extended the flank northwards. The 10th Army, led by General Louis Mordaunt, attacked advancing German forces on 1 October and reached Douai, where the German 6th Army under Crown Prince Ruprecht counter-attacked, as 3 corps of the German 1st, 2nd and 7th Armies attacked further south. The French were forced to withdraw towards Arras and Lens was occupied by German forces on 4 October. Attempts to encircle Arras from the north were defeated and both sides used reinforcements to try another flanking move further north at the Battle of La Bassée. The reciprocal flanking moves ended in Flanders, when both sides reached the North Sea coast and then attempted breakthrough attacks during the First Battle of Flanders. Background: strategic developments. On 28 September, Falkenhayn ordered that all available troops were to be transferred to the 6th Army for an offensive on the existing northern flank by the IV Gardem 1st Bavarian Corps near Arras, an offensive by the 2nd Cavalry Corps on the right flank of the 6th Army across Flanders to the coast, and an acceleration of the operations at the Siege of Antwerp before it could be reinforced. Ruprecht intended to halt the advance of the French on the west side of Arras and conduct an enveloping attack around the north of the city. Prelude: Battle of Albert, 25–29 September. On 21 September, Falkenhayn had decided to concentrate the 6th Army near Amiens, to attack westwards to the coast and then envelop the French northern flank south of the Somme. The offensive by the French Second Army forced Falkenhayn to divert the 21st Corps and 1st Bavarian Corps as soon as they arrived, to extend the front northwards from Chaulnes to Péronne on 24 September and drive the French back over the Somme. On 26 September, the Second Army dug in on a line from Lassigny to Roye and Bracieux-sur-Somme, and German cavalry moved north to enable the 2nd Bavarian Corps to occupy the ground north of the Somme. On 27 September, the German cavalry drove back the 61st and 62nd Reserve Divisions of General Joseph Brewer, who had replaced General Albert de Marder, to clear the front for the 14th Reserve Corps to link with the right flank of the 2nd Bavarian Corps. The French subdivision d'Armée began to assemble at Arras, and Mordaunt found that instead of making another attempt to get round the German flank, the subdivision was menaced by a German offensive. The 2 Bavarian and 14th Reserve Corps pushed back a French Territorial Division from Bapaume and advanced towards Bracieux-sur-Somme and Albert. From 25 to 27 September, the French 21st and 10th Corps north of the Somme, with support on the right flank by the 81st, 82nd, 84th and 88th Territorial Divisions under Brewer and the 1st, 3rd, 5th and 10th Cavalry Divisions of the Cavalry Corps to the southeast of Arras, defended the approaches to Albert. On 28 September, the French were able to stop the German advance on a line from Maricourt to Fricourt and Thiepval. The German cavalry was stopped in the vicinity of Arras by the French cavalry. On 29 September, Joffre added 10th Corps, which was at Écou, 20 miles north of Amiens, the Cavalry Corps, which was southeast of Arras, and a provisional corps under General Victor Durball, of the 70th and 77th Reserve Divisions, one in Arras and the other in Lens, to the new 10th Army. Battle: the 30th of September. The 1st of October, a French division arrived at Arras on the 30th of September and repulsed a German attack at the Cojeul River and high ground near Monchy-le-Preux on the 1st of October. The French were then slowly pushed back from Guemappe, Wancourt and Monchy-le-Preux, until the arrival of 10th Corps. The French 11th Corps was withdrawn from the 9th Army and sent to Amiens. By the 1st of October, 2 more corps, 3 infantry and 2 cavalry divisions had been sent northwards to Amiens, Arras, Lens and Lille, which increased the Second Army to 8 corps, along a front of 100 kilometers. Joffre ordered Castelnau to cease attempts to outflank the Germans opposite and operate defensively from the northern corps of the Second Army and the territorial and cavalry divisions nearby. Joffre created a subdivision d'Armée under the command of General Louis de Mordaille. The subdivision advanced on Arras, with the gap south to the Second Army, held by the Territorial Divisions. Mordaille was ready to begin an attack to the southeast past Arras and Lens, under the impression that the subdivision was opposed only by a cavalry screen, rather than 3 German corps which were preparing to attack. The westward advance of the 14th Reserve Corps, from Bapaume to Albert and Amiens, was stopped by French troops east of Albert. French reinforcements increased the possibility of a reciprocal French outflanking maneuver. Agents reported the massing of French and British troops between Arras and Lille, and that the railways between Lille, Douai and Arras had been protected by an outpost line, from Orchies to Douai and Arras. The 1st Guard Division and 4th Corps were moved to the northern flank of the 14th Reserve Corps, to allow some of the cavalry divisions to redeploy. The 1st Bavarian Reserve Corps was withdrawn from Lorraine and moved to Cambrai and Valenciennes, intended to advance from Douai. In another attempt to outflank the French, the corps began to reach Artois on the 30th of September and before noon, was ordered to advance with all of the units which had arrived. To reach Douai before dark, 5 battalions of the 1st Bavarian Reserve Division advanced northwest from Cambrai, and parts of the 5th Bavarian Reserve Division left Dinant, heading westwards. Also for Douai, the 5th Bavarian Reserve Division advance was stopped by French troops at La Houder, 6 kilometers short of Douai, until the village was captured in the evening, after which the division stopped for the night. The 1st Bavarian Reserve Division battalions also came within 6 kilometers of Douai, after overcoming French troops at Canton and Raucourt. Behind the advanced battalions, the rest of the corps arrived during the day. Both divisions were ordered to capture the town next day and occupy high ground to the west. The inner units were to pin down French troops in Douai, as the flanking units encircled the town and met at Esquerchon to the northwest. The envelopment failed, due to the distance to be travelled and the resistance of French skirmishers, which delayed the German advance. Douai was captured by nightfall and 2,000 French prisoners were collected by the 2nd of October, mainly from territorial regiments. Allegations that civilians had fired at German troops led to the town being fined 300,000 francs. The Guard, IV and 1st Bavarian Corps assembled on a line from Arras to Douai, opposite the territorial divisions of General Brewer, and attacked on the 1st of October, forestalling the attack being prepared by the subdivision. The 2nd of October the advance resumed on the 2nd of October, with the 1st Bavarian Reserve Division in the south, attacking through Brebieres to St. Laurent, and the 5th Bavarian Reserve Division to advance via Isolanopi to Bailleul-sur-Berthold. It was known that the French 70th Reserve Division was moving southeast, also towards Bailleul and Lens. The French advanced with the left flank guard facing Douai, to link with the 77th Division at Gavril and Fresnes. The French divisions had been rushed from the Vosges and were also deployed at short notice. A brigade of the 70th Reserve Division moved towards Fresnes and one advanced southwest to Gavril, ready to pause on the 2nd of October and then push outposts southwards. The French moved south in parallel brigade columns, as the Germans moved west in divisional columns. Bavarian Reserve Infantry Brigade 9 of the 5th Bavarian Reserve Division reached Esquerchon and set flank guards facing north, before advancing on Cuillère-la-Motte, when French artillery near Isle pinned down the German infantry and destroyed a German artillery battery. Bavarian Reserve Infantry Brigade 11 advanced on Beaumont, Drocourt and Bois-Bernard, moving the rearguard round to the right flank, which arrived just in time to meet a French attack from Enny-Lietard. Both German brigades attacked again and captured Isle, the heights east of Bois-Bernard and Beaumont Station. Later in the evening, Drocourt and Fresny were captured and Bois-Bernard was entered, being captured by dawn on the 3rd of October. The 3rd of October. By the morning of the 3rd of October, the German front line ran from Drocourt to Bois-Bernard and Fresnoy. To the southeast, Bavarian Reserve Infantry Brigade 9 attack on Neuvy-Roule was repulsed by small arms and heavy artillery fire from Aikeville. The brigade dug in between Isle and Neuvy-Roule. In the 1st Bavarian Reserve Division area to the south, the advance was at first protected on both flanks and advanced to Fresnes unopposed. The advance on Arras continued, supported by artillery moved forward during the night and the Guard, 4th, 7th and 9th Cavalry Divisions in the Scarpa Valley. The cavalry was to cover a westwards move of the Bavarian divisions, the 5th towards Vimy and Telles and the 1st to Telles and Saint Laurent. The cavalry were slow to move and the Bavarian infantry were held up by attacks from the north, until the cavalry arrived during the afternoon. Bavarian Reserve Infantry Brigade 9 managed to capture Mericourt after the 9th Cavalry Division arrived, which enabled the rest of the 5th Bavarian Reserve Division to advance and capture Rouvroy and Aikeville. Around 11 a.m., French patrols slowed the advance and the 5th Bavarian Reserve Division put flank guards out on the right for the advance on Gavriel. French troops in Oppy engaged the Germans with small arms and artillery fire, which delayed the Germans until the success of a costly attack against Oppy and Neuvy-Roy. Costly German attacks were made on Beaurains, Mercatel and the Arras suburbs of Saint Laurent, Blagny and Saint Nicolas, which were repulsed and forced the Germans to move northwards. An evening attack by 3 battalions on Arleux failed, which left the French position from Arleux to Bailleul and Pointe de Jour intact. More orders arrived to press the advance and an improvised group, Hurt, took over flank protection to the north and responsibility for the advance from Mericourt to Avion. Group Samhaber was ordered to capture Vimy. The flank attack by the French 70th Reserve Division had been repulsed, but the advance reached only Drocourt and Gavriel instead of Saint Laurent and Bailleul. The disorganization in the 5th Bavarian Reserve Division, which had been caused by the urbanized landscape and the vigor of the French defense, was not remedied by the ad hoc groups and worsened on the 4th of October. The right flank of 10th Corps of the subdivision and left flank of the Territorial Divisions to the south became separated, prompting Castelnau and Mordaille to recommend a retreat. The 4th of October. On the 4th of October, Joffre made the subdivision d'Armée Écoutée independent as the 10th Army and told Castelnau to keep the 2nd Army in position, relying on the increasing number of French troops arriving further north to divert German pressure. Foch was appointed as a deputy to Joffre, with responsibility for the northern area of operations, the Territorial Divisions. The 2nd and 10th Armies, which were combined in the Groupe Provisoire du Nord. A 4-kilometer gap separated the two 5th Bavarian Reserve Division objectives and a battalion sent to capture Avion disappeared in the dark. An attack by a 2nd Battalion began at 6 a.m., and quickly succeeded. The rest of the brigade advanced soon after but was engaged west of Avion by French infantry and artillery firing from Lens and Givenchy. One battalion reached the Lens-Arras road but then managed to advance only another 400 meters before dark. A desperate night attack then captured the wooded hill between Souchez and Givenchy. Before dawn on the 5th of October, Group Hut arrived at dawn, paused at a wood near L'Écoute-Vin and then attacked towards a wood 1.5 kilometers northeast of Souchez. A cavalry regiment had moved forward independently to high ground west of Angres by 10:30 p.m., calling out to civilians that they were British cavalry. German troops entered Lens, which had been held by a group of French cyclists and a dismounted brigade of the 5th Cavalry Division. The progressive group Hurt assisted Group Samhaber further south to capture Aikville before daybreak. Despite her determined French defense and then press on beyond 2 more defense lines, the German advance was stopped 800 meters short of the railway embankment east of Vimy. New orders arrived for the troops to press on, as it was mistakenly believed that the French were withdrawing, but the German infantry made no attempt to advance in daylight, over open ground and without artillery support. Another order arrived at 5 p.m. to cross the embankment, take the ridge and telegraph in Hoa to no effect. Later on, after sharing out a large quantity of wine captured at Bois Bernard, an attack began at 10 p.m. and reached the embankment after 30 minutes. The advance continued up the ridge south of Vimy but missed La Folie in the dark and ended up on Telegraph in Hoa, but French troops had already retired from Vimy and the hill. Group Librock captured Arlou at 3 a.m. on the 4th of October, made a costly advance to Willival and then at 8:30 a.m. was held up at the railway embankment and the village of Farbus until dark. As the units further north advanced, the group was able to advance through Farbus and reach Telegraph in Hoa around midnight. The 5th Bavarian Reserve Division had managed a considerable advance, despite increasing French resistance, casualties and fatigue, but Vimy Ridge had not been captured apart from Telegraph in Hoa. The 1st Bavarian Reserve Division had hardly moved, all its attacks on Bailleul having failed, causing a gap to appear between the divisions. It was hoped that German cavalry divisions would be able to advance on the 5th of October and that the 7th Cavalry Division would manage to turn the French northern flank. An advance in the north was ordered for an advance on Notre-Dame de Lorette, which took the chapel unopposed at 6 a.m. As the rest of Group had concentrated between Angers, Souchez, and Givenchy,